Hello, my name is Sarah, and Emmy is not here at the moment. This video is going to be a very long time in the making. It is currently January 1st, 2023, and I have decided to do a quilt block for every month of the year this year. So I'm going to get started on January's. I was thinking about making an ice skate for the fact that the lake was frozen, but the lake melted 2 days ago, so I may have to rethink that.
This is going to be an applique design, so I cut out the whole 14-inch square from white. I cut out some stitch witchery the size of my cricket mat. I ironed my galaxy fabric and put the stitch witchery on the back side. I ironed it according to the instructions. I wanted to use my cricket to cut it, so I got out my rotary blade and hit go. So I finished the cutting by hand. I placed the numbers approximately where I wanted, and when I was happy, I peeled off the paper, sprayed, and pressed them into place. I was careful to keep the numbers overlapping in the right order. A satin stitch is a zigzag with a short stitch length to cover the raw edge. My machine gets stuck if I shorten that too much, so there is a bit of a gap.
No.
After a new bobbin, I was back to sewing. I wanted to add some fireworks, so I sketched out guidelines and used a decorative stitch on my machine. Ta-da! January is done, and I will see you all in February.
Welcome to February! The ice is finally frozen, so I finally get to do my ice skate quilt block. And last night I just traced my skate to make a pattern for this.
I made the shapes more straight and split the pattern into strips. I cut the first piece from a silver snowflake background.
Add 1/2 inch because that is all I know. Layer 1 is done. That was ridiculously easy because there's only one piece.
Layer 2 has a part of the blade in it, so I cut the pattern pieces apart. I traced each piece in friction pens which disappear with heat and added the seam allowance. Also the background pieces. When all the pieces are cut, I pin them together, making sure that the corners of the stitch lines line up by stabbing a pin through both. That's not right. After fixing that, it's time to sew! The side of my presser foot is a 1/2 inch from the needle, which is why I usually choose a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Ironing seams is important.
This is already getting very confusing, and I'm only on the third thing, which was really the second because the first one was just one piece.
I decided because this is my first time to not batch sew everything and just sew the layers one by one.
Funny story, there's actually a fourth piece. I forgot one.
As far back as I can remember, I have always loved skating. I tried ballet and gymnastics first, but just that first time skating and I was hooked. I also did swimming in high school, which I was way better at, but it didn't really matter. I just wanted to skate. I used to get up early and go to skating practice before school, and then go to school, and after school was swim practice. And even now as an adult, I've been getting up early to go skate on the lake in the mornings. Emmy also loves to skate with me, although she prefers the traction of snow. We plow a trail on the lake, so usually we have both options. Maybe you're excited about my skate? I have all of the layers assembled here, and I'm ready now to stitch all of these together. I carefully pinned through the corner marks that I ironed away for each layer, and this took forever. So here it is in super speed. I see now why they make mini irons. Oh my gosh, I love this! I'm gonna have to cheer up the edges a little bit, but otherwise, it's done! I should look at my skate again. I love it, it looks so great! So I guess February is done, and I will see you in March.
Happy St. Patrick's Day! It is actually St. Patrick's Day today, and I put on all of my green clothes, which isn't a lot, apparently, and my shamrock necklace.
Emmy also has her St. Patrick's Day bandana on. No, he's not here. I drew out a 4-leaf clover shape to scale. I cut the 4 petals, I guess, and the stem out of green with a 1/4 inch seam allowance added and 13 1.5 inch white squares. Emmy, you're on the wrong holiday. That's Rudolph. He's Christmas. I took my green rectangles and added 3 white squares to the corners. I didn't want each month to just be that month's holiday, but my fiance's name is Patrick, so it's okay this time. I stitched across these corners. And by this point, my whole house smelled like corned beef and grossness. I don't like cabbage, but Patrick does. I trimmed and ironed the seam allowance toward the green. I sewed the top 2 and bottom 3 rectangles together. And then I sewed the top and the bottom together. And ta-da! A 4-leaf clover! Lucky me. Time to add the shamrock border. I did cut it a little wide and trimmed it down later. And hey, remember that shamrock necklace from earlier? I actually got it in Ireland. It was a really fun trip and the landscape was very green and very wet. Oh, and we went to the Guinness factory and I was crushed when we got there and I found out that it wasn't the Guinness Book of World Records. I was a kid and no one told me it was beer, and beer is gross. It's very, very St. Patrick's Day.
That is it for March, and I will see you guys in April. Welcome to April! It is currently April 19th, and so far this month, Emmy has almost caught a bunny. And 2 of our daffodils are blooming, so I'm gonna do a bunny and a daffodil.
I cut out all the daffodil pieces with a few dot fabric sprinkled in. 1 exploded daffodil. I stitched together the stem and the background first, and then the honk part of the flower and the leaves. I ironed all my seams. That's supposed to be wider. The lady who previously owned my parents' house loved daffodils, so she planted several different kinds in the woods so that every spring the woods are just covered in yellow patches.
Something is backwards. These are upside down. Whoops. Yes, that's much more rectangular.
Well, it's a little barbell shaped, like it's kind of warped in the middle here. Much better. Time for the bunny! I started with the tail. The 4 corners got squares stitched diagonally across them to make it more round. Now to assemble the butt. Bunny butt. I'm going to stitch here and then here. So this bunny that Emmy almost caught was not the Easter bunny and also keeps forgetting how to get out of our yard, and the chief of security is not having it. I've been throwing veggie scraps across the road for the bunny, and yet it still comes into the yard.
No longer a headless bunny. He just can't hear anything yet.
How is my April going? Patrick and I have been having a lot of fun taking wedding dance classes, and we've had a few summer weather days, so pretty great. Also, I'm drowning in ruffles making my wedding dress petticoat.
One last seam.
April is done, and I will see you all in May.
Hello, it is now May, it is very hot in here, and it's time to make the May quilt block. I spent a lot of this month making my wedding dress skirt, and the rest of it making my bridal shower dress, so let's get started.
I decided to make a wedding umbrella for my bridal shower. I cut alternating panels of wedding planning fabric and flamingos, since that was the theme of my shower. It's a running joke in my family. I cut out the pattern again from Stitch Witchery, which really should have been done before cutting out the fabric, but oh well. I covered my ironing board with scrap and fused the glue to one side. Gosling break! Hello, new neighbors! Please don't poop on my duck. I cut the whole square from white again. I marked the center in disappearing ink pen. I just felt so loved at my bridal shower, so I prepped some fused hearts to shower down on my umbrella. And yes, it took forever to cut all of them out by hand. I used a satin stitch with tearaway stabilizer to make the handle. Time to fuse! And I have to say, this is a great break from wedding dress making stress, and I made the insane decision to make 3 dresses. Sigh. Don't do that to yourself. I ran a white satin stitch around the edges of everything. Yes, even the hearts. Okay, May is done, and I will see all you guys in June.
Hello, June quilt block time, and this month I had my birthday, and I have done nothing but embroider my wedding dress. And sew my wedding dress, so I thought
I would make a mini embroidery machine, complete with, I started making Emmy a mini version of my dress and ran out of thread, so I have a mini version of my embroidery here.
Also, yes, I am very stressed. Week and a half to my wedding.
I cut out all the pieces and tried to keep them organized and keep the remnants of my sanity. Since this video is mostly sewing rectangles, I'm going to talk about our wedding, and oh my gosh am I stressed. I think I have made most of my dress twice or more. I cut the bodice on the straight grain when my mock-up was on the bias, so I had to remake that. The skirt embroidery is stitching out in the background as we speak, and don't even get me started on the veil. Don't worry, there will be videos on making all of these. Actually, they should be out by the time you get to see this video. Anyway, I digitized custom embroidery for all of my dress and veil, including 3D freestanding lace flowers with bead centers on my veil. I've given up on adding beads to the skirt embroidery, as I am 1.5 weeks away, and that's just not gonna happen. I'm very stressed. Oh, and I satin stitched the needle, reducing the width as I neared the point. I trimmed off the excess fabric on the sides. I took my skirt embroidery and shrunk it to make Em a matching dress, so this is actually accurate to my June, although I didn't add the embroidery hoop. June is done, and I will see you all after I get married.
Welcome to July! This month, Patrick and I got married, which is really exciting. And I was going to make my quilt block based off of that.
This may be a very cheesy design, but it's us in our wedding clothes in a heart. I traced the reverse of each piece onto stitch witchery and cut them out. And since I have a lot of scraps now, this is actually my wedding dress fabric. I have to say, I am so glad the wedding is over. It was a wonderful day, but gosh was it stressful. Getting there was not fun. The actual day was amazing, I think. It's kind of a big blur, and I'm really glad we had a photographer and a videographer because I don't remember most of it. But I do remember walking down the aisle and thinking, oh my gosh, this is it! And then after the ceremony, Patrick asked me if I liked his vows, and I said, honestly, I don't remember them. I was really trying to concentrate on getting through mine without stumbling, so I liked them after when I actually read them. Don't iron on your desk. I put a wood board underneath. I sat and stitched around each piece with a million thread changes, but I could use some color after making my wedding dress. Well, the dress part at least. Have I mentioned how stressful that was? I kind of wish I had cut the heart away from under my dress, but it's too late now. The July quilt block is done!
I will see you guys in August, and I'm gonna go jump in the lake now. Welcome to August! I have basically spent the entire month in the lake, so I'm gonna do this month's quilt block as me floating in the lake.
Is the hummingbird on my beater? I ironed my sky and my water, and fused more heat and bond to the accent fabrics because in spite of this video, I'm actually not that big on quilting. I just thought this would be a nice way to look back at a whole year of my life, and I'm not done yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll be right about that. I cut out my inner tube and a whole bunch of fish. This is my favorite floppy sun hat that I wear pretty much every day in the summer, and it has been so nice to relax post-wedding. The rest of July I was still super stressed, but now it feels real. I sat and stitched around myself, the clouds, and the fish. We have some very territorial sunfish that live over by our dock. They come up and bite me and Em all the time, and let me tell you, they really have a taste for freckles. I still have all my freckles though. August is done! So I will see you next in September. Bye!
So I was trying to figure out what to do for this month's quilt block when it hit me. It's fall!
And I meant that literally because an acorn fell out of the tree and hit me on the head, so I planted it. Half of the trees around the lake now have turned, so I added autumn leaves behind my acorn. I cut out part of the leaf that will be behind the acorn to reduce bulk. I fused the generic leaf, maple leaf, oak leaf, and other generic leaf with pinked edges to the background. I marked out the leaf veins and stitched them out in yellow to match the background. Also, on all of our walks now, acorns are falling all over the place. They hit the metal roofs, they hit through the trees, they nearly have hit me, but so far it's only been that one that hit me. I added the acorn and the acorn cap, and maybe I'll be able to update you next year if it actually grows. I stitched out the hatch pattern on the acorn top, which was missing from my gravity confirming acorn. I used a contrasting light brown thread for this to make it pop.
Alright, that is the September quilt block done, so I guess I will see you all in October. Happy Halloween! Well, it's a couple days early, but you know. It is time to get started on my October quilt block, and I was gonna do a jack-o'-lantern.
This year, I am very proud to announce that I have managed to grow a pumpkin!
Hi! Can I have my space back, please? Thank you.
Well, there's 3 large and 3 mini in one gourd, but only 1 large pumpkin is ready to carve for Halloween, so I decided to immortalize my pumpkin for this month's quilt block. Last year I didn't get any. I was planning on doing a jack-o'-lantern for this month anyway, so it just worked out. And I even got to use the stalks from the corn that I grew as decor. It's a bit messy, but I put a lot of effort into growing the corn. I've also been drowning in tomatoes as they are all ripening at once. And ghost peppers. I have like 30 ghost peppers, and I don't like spicy food that much. Why did I grow ghost peppers this year and habaneros last year? I just thought it would be fun, which it is, but now I have to eat them. Did I mention that this is the jack-o'-lantern? Because it is. And if you look very closely, you'll see that I painted jack-o'-lanterns on my nails last night, which was actually a coincidence for making this today. I just really like jack-o'-lanterns around Halloween. And here's my favorite one. I used heat and bond to attach the face and a leaf.
It's a bug on my pumpkin.
And for one last detail, I added a swirling vine. October is done now that it matches my nails. What do you think? And I will see you all in November.
Welcome to November! Ignore the tree. It is November 26th. Anyway, it is time for my November quilt block, and I don't really have a good idea right now because I was gonna do pumpkin pie, but we didn't have pumpkin pie. I gotta think of something real fast.
The big things that happened this month are that Emmy had surgery and we bought a camper. So I picked the fun one. I wanted to portray a camper under a starry night sky. I know this is the wrong shape of camper, but it gets the point across. Emmy is feeling well enough to be mad that the vet said no exercise while she heals. I cut the window heat and bond 2 inches by 2 inches, but if you remember, I measured it as a 2.5 inch square.
That's not right, it's 2.5. Ugh.
So, much better. Next is the wheel. Why, reinvent it, right? Other fun things I've done this month include going to the John Singer Sargent exhibit at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, where they had the Madame X painting and some of the dresses that were in the paintings. I especially loved getting up close and personal with the dresses. I had a lot of fun seeing how they were constructed.
Oh, it's the door. I'm forgetting the door.
I thought I was forgetting something. I feel like I should add some door humor here, but all I can think of to say is knock knock, but nothing else is coming to mind, so tell me your best knock knock joke in the comments. For finishing touches, I did a satin stitch around the windows and formed some window panes, and also the door. I didn't reinvent the wheel again by using my finger as a pivot point to help me make it round. I also added a moon later. That is November done, and I am looking forward to spending many nights in our camper. And next is the final quilt block for December. Hello and welcome to December! It is currently snowing, which is festive, and we are going to get started on December's quilt block. Right, Demi? You have snow on your face. I've been planning this one for 11 months, and it is a Christmas tree made from all my green Christmas fabrics. Patrick hates my Christmas fabric tub, but too bad, it's handy. I cut the background strips from this gold snowflake fabric. And how has my December been? Well, it's only December 6th, so not much has happened yet, but I still have to connect and quilt this whole thing before January, so I got an early start. I marked the corners of the pattern pieces and stuck pins directly through them to line up the rows. The vet cleared Em to resume her normal activities since her surgery, which I am very grateful for because she has very high energy levels and was very bored. For Christmas, I am looking forward to baking cookies and a gingerbread house with my mom, but I got a bit of a head start by making gingerbread shoes. I really enjoyed decorating shoes and have plans to do more next year. The snow today really got me in the Christmas spirit, but it wasn't enough to make a snowman, but I still had to mute these clips because I was singing copyrighted Christmas songs. Just one last detail, which is a star attached with my favorite heat and bond. Hi. December is done, and now I have to pet the needy dog. But now I just have to quilt the entire thing. So, this can take a bit. I was trying to figure out how to iron the back of this on my mini ironing board when I remembered that I bought a craft table ironing cover. Also, ironing while singing Christmas songs makes it way more fun. This video is long enough already, so I'm going to speed through the rest of it. I sewed all the squares to the stripes, and all the stripes to the really long stripes, and then I quilted it, and then I sewed binding on. Was that fast enough?